The solubility and bioavailability is critical in any oral liquid product that's going into patients. So in order for the product to actually be bioavailable, you at least need to have some form of solubility. So solubility evaluations up front will save a lot of time on the back end. So if your API, nowadays a lot of APIs are not highly soluble in water or bioavailable, so there are things that can be done in the formulation to help with that, starting with some bioavailable excipients as well as some different excipients that can be used to increase the solubility of those products. And all of this can be evaluated in vitro using dissolution testing, depending on your product. If it's a solution or a suspension, either can be evaluated via disso to determine somewhat how it would behave in the body. There are a couple of attributes for stability that you're looking at, both chemical as well as physical. So from a chemical side, you're looking at the assay of the product. So how much does a product degrade over a certain period of time? There are stability assisting excipients that can be added to a formulation to help improve the stability. Also, the other side of that is the physical stability. So is your product settling out? Is it congealing at the bottom of the container that it's stored in? Both of these can have detrimental impacts on the stability of the product. After that, you're looking at more microbial growth. As the products are in water, water tends to grow a lot of microbes over time, especially with a multi-unit dose type container where patients are opening it up, taking a sample or taking a dose and then closing the cap and storing it for a set period of time. So there are things that can be done to assist in the stability, including unit dose type containers where it's just one dose, the patient takes the dose, it's a uniform dose, and then they put it away, they throw the container away and open up the next dose the next time. Stability is key in making sure your product is viable for the market, not just a clinical study, but the product needs to be efficacious. From a taste masking perspective, a lot of APIs are very bitter or have a very bad taste. So there's a lot of different things that can be done in your formulation development to evaluate and improve the taste of the product. So if a patient doesn't appreciate the taste, then they're likely not to be compliant in taking the medication as prescribed. And also, your population pool for oral liquids are typically pediatrics or senior patients. So the taste range from those two populations is quite different. So as you age, your tastes change and you do not like the same taste that you did as a pediatric. So taste masking, there's hundreds of different types of different flavors or sweeteners that can be added to a formulation that will aid in compliance of the patient. Some are synthetic and others are natural flavors that can be used and added to the solution. On the same lines of the stability of the previous topic, everything needs to be evaluated to see if it impacts your stability of your product. So depending on the flavor choice of the sweetener choice, you still need to evaluate the stability of the product to make sure there's no impact to the actual API itself. In order to maintain or evaluate your viscosity and rheology of your product, there are a couple of reasons why that's so important for your oral liquids. Viscosity is kind of a thin line in developing these formulations. You don't want it to be too viscous because that could impact your patient compliance, because difficult things to swallow prevents folks from wanting to take that medication, and they may not take it when they're supposed to, or they may miss doses, which doesn't lead to a good patient outcome. On the reverse side of that, if it's not viscous enough, product can settle out. Also, the dosage unit is not as consistent when the patient takes it from time to time, because things settle out and you're not taking the full API load that is expected and prescribed to each patient. So you have to develop a viscosity that keeps the product suspended enough. So excipient compatibility is also critical to developing a viable liquid formulation along the stability lines. So excipients have an impact, or could have an impact, on the stability of your active pharmaceutical ingredient. So this should be evaluated. In oral solid dosage forms, you typically create a binary mixture of your API and the excipient, put it on stability at a certain temperature and humidity condition, and then test that to see if you're propagating any degradation of your API. In a liquid product, however, there's also this added medium of water or liquid into the formulation. So in order to simulate, a client may choose to actually combine it with the two API and excipient mixture and then add water so that it more accurately represents what the final dosage form will be when the patient takes it. So then that product will go on stability, or that one sample with the binary mixture with water. And then you evaluate the stability at set intervals to ensure that there's no API degradation due to the actual excipient itself. You might want to evaluate a couple of different types of packaging configurations. And it's mainly because your liquid formulations are in such a high contact with your packaging, much more so than your oral solid dosage forms are, because that liquid is fully in contact with your actual bottle itself, which could have the potential to leach products into it from your packaging configuration itself. So that needs to be taken under advisement, as well as the actual sealing of the bottle itself. What type of bottle seal does it need? Does it need to have some form of desiccant cap inside of it? Does it need to have a moisture barrier? All these kind of things need to be evaluated to essentially on your stability studies to make sure that your product is going to be stable in the packaging configuration it's planning to be sold to the market in. The last piece that needs to be looked into is the actual scaling of your batch. So your batch size is very dependent upon what phase you're in, number one, and as you're getting closer to commercialization, you need to determine what your final batch size will be for the market, because that kind of backs into what your registration batch size will be, and as well as your clinical batches, depending on the patient pool that you're planning on evaluating this in. So as you're developing this formulation, as you're scaling it up, there's a lot of factors that need to go into play in order to make sure that your product can be scaled up appropriately. So when you start at the lab scale, you're doing a couple of liters, maybe 5 liters, 10 liters at most for these small lab scale phase 1 pharmacokinetic type studies. And then as you go into your later phases, phase 2 and 3, they're much larger. So they could be thousands of gallons. At our site here in Sellersville, we actually have a 10,000 liter holding tank as well as a compounding tank. So that's the kind of scale you're looking at when you look to the commercial market. So as you're scaling up these batches, you need to evaluate your critical quality attributes to make sure that they're maintained from a smaller batch size all the way up to your higher batch size. So are you mixing it appropriately? Are your blenders adequate enough to be able to blend the product all the way across the different size range that you're looking at? Can it be maintained or suspended if it's a suspension, so that your API is evenly distributed across every bottle that's packaged? Are you using a homogenizer blade in order to make sure that everything is fully suspended? So all of these things need to be evaluated as you're scaling up the batch, because the end result, your final test when you release this product, should have the exact same specifications as it does for your lab scale, as it does for your commercial scale. Usually as you go to the commercial side, your specs actually tighten up a little bit more. So that means you have to ensure that you're formulating this product at the scale, or at least the final scale in mind, as you're going through this whole scale-up process across the different phases.